Reading of Lord MEHER. We are in the year 1949, and we're going to pick up right where we left off last time. We're at the bottom of what page are we at the bottom of, Gene?
2728.
Okay. All right, I'll start the reading now. They left at about 6 o'clock, Erich driving the Jeep. After Nanu Bai was dropped off at his abode, they drove toward Bun Garden and then to Ferguson College and Deccan Gymkhana. Nearing Wadia College, Baba noticed a sannyasi walking along the road. Baba directed Erich to get down and ascertain his background. Erich stopped the man, communicated with him for a while, and reported to Baba that he was a seeker of God who had been observing silence for the past 7 years while wandering throughout the country. Kaka recognized him as the same Mani Baba who was contacted near Katgodam village in Hardwar years before when Baba was staying in Dehradun in 1942. The silent or Mani sannyasi was taken with them in the Jeep, and Baba sat with him alone for a few minutes at the Hindu cremation grounds. On Wednesday, 20 July 1949, Baba began a 3-day seclusion in a room upstairs at 2B's bungalow. Baba stated he would not be coming downstairs for meals or to chat with the Mandali. He explained that he was undergoing this seclusion for the very many disappointing features of this trip and the consequent failure to relax. The Mandali were allowed to see Baba upstairs when sent for, and Ghani was still to read poetry to him when called. When musts or sadhus were brought, Baba would contact them upstairs. Baba now began following this dietary schedule. Morning, 1 cup of tea, no bread. 10 a.m., 1 cup of coffee. 3 to 4 p.m., dinner. Baba would also chew a little betel nut or varioli or fennel seed powder during the day. After tea that morning, Erich brought a sadhu. Baba washed his feet, gave him sweets and 2 rupees. At noon, Erich and Jalbai brought a must named Ram. He did not resist Baba in the least and was taken upstairs, where Baba gave him a bath, fresh clothes, and sweets. Later, Baba related to the Mandali about Ram. I felt hungry at the time and thought to myself how good it would be if the must himself offered me some of the sweets he was eating. And guess what? He offered half the sweets to me. Because of my fast, I would not have allowed myself to eat from anyone's hands, but because it came from a must, the opportunity to appease my hunger was availed and welcomed by me. Baba then stated that this contact with Ram was his last must contact in Pune, as no more musts were to be brought to him during his seclusion. On a sign from Baba, Erich asked the must, "Where is Ram?" The must replied, "Ram is here. He is in every one of you." Erich, "Have you seen Ishwar?" Ram, "I see Ishwar before my eyes this very moment. He is everywhere." After the meal at 4 o'clock, Baba went to rest. In the evening, he played ping pong, seated on the floor, cards, and carom with the Mandali. July 21st was the second day of Baba's seclusion upstairs, and the first day since he had arrived that no musts or mad were brought to him, though he continued to work alone with Ali Shah. He had contacted 7 musts or mad, and 2 mad persons in Pune. Baba played games with the Mandali throughout the day. On 22nd July, Baba decided to fast the entire day, taking only tea in the morning without milk and coffee in the evening. He washed Ali Shah's feet and gave him tea with his own hands. Baba then gave certain instructions to the Mandali and retired into seclusion until 2 p.m. At 3:30 p.m., he fed Ali Shah. At 4 o'clock, Baba drank a cup of coffee. He informed the Mandali, "Today, my seclusion was entirely satisfactory, but it was so intense that I felt tired and dozed for half an hour during it. My trip to Pune has been a mixture of work, seclusion, and relaxation. The stay has been satisfactory, as I have worked 7 hours in seclusion, taken 7 days of relaxation, combined with work, and contacted 7 musts. But I will feel entirely satisfied and happy if it does not rain tomorrow, so that I can witness the cricket match undisturbed." Baba himself then proposed an outing in the car, and during the drive asked each if it would rain the next day. Baba ordered Kaka, "Pray that it does not rain and spoil the match." After he returned from the drive, Baba drank another cup of coffee and played games with the Mandali for an hour before retiring. Saturday, 23rd July 1949, had been announced as a day of complete relaxation. No seclusion and no work, internal or external, except with Ali Shah. In addition to his morning tea, Baba ate a light breakfast at 9. He was with the Mandali throughout the day, playing draughts and discussing various light topics, assiduously avoiding any serious or metaphysical subjects. There had been heavy showers the previous night and early morning, and the sky looked threatening. They left at 10 o'clock to watch a cricket match between Ferguson College and the Deccan Gymkhana team. Baba had been looking forward to seeing the match, and all were fervently hoping it would not rain again. It did not, and the match began on schedule at 12:30. Baba sat through the entire cricket match until 6 that evening. Wow. Next page. After eating dinner and playing a game of cards for an hour, Baba retired to his room, where he gave instructions for everyone to prepare to leave for Meherzad the next day. Adi Sr. came to Pune on Sunday, 24 July at 4 p.m. Baba left with him in the Buick along with Kaka, Gustaji, and Ali Shah. Erich, Jalbai, and Ghani stayed in Pune and were instructed to remain on silence until the end of the month. Baba's car stopped on the way to watch a little more of the cricket match. Another stop was at the Kandhapuri Dak bungalow, where all of a sudden Baba decided to wash Ali Shah's feet. Baba arrived in Meherzad at 6:50 p.m. The jeep carrying the luggage had preceded them. Adi sounded the horn from a distance, and Jal Karawala, Meherji, Naraman, and the servants retreated into their rooms. Baba went straight into his cabin without seeing anyone. After Baba was settled, Kaka clapped. Whoops. I lost it for a second here. Where are we? I've never seen this screen.
Top of the page.
There we go. No, I lost the whole thing, but I got it back. After Baba was settled, Kaka clapped his hands, indicating that it was permissible for everyone to come out. Kaka then described their Pune stay to the three as follows. It might be described as going from the frying pan into the fire. Maya seemed to follow us with a vengeance. Continuous rain and unceasing strong wind on the hill were ever present. At times, while Baba was in absolute seclusion on the upper story of the bungalow, he would call me at odd hours of the night and inquire about the knocking at his door. From 25 July, Baba began his spiritual work between 11:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m., also resting for a short time. The final 7 days were to be a re-intensification of his earlier fast and seclusion. Naraman was on watch that night. Baba slept for about 2 hours. The next day, Baba sent instructions for everyone to assemble at Meherzad on the 1st of August, when he would come out of seclusion. Meherji was on watch that night. Naraman was on duty the following night, and reported that Baba had rested for only 3 hours. On 30 July, Baba rose at 5 a.m., washed his face and hands, and then drank a cup of Ovaltine. He then washed Ali Shah's feet and fed him tea and chapatis. Baba himself took a bath at 7:30 a.m. For the next 10 hours that day, between 8 and 6 p.m., Baba remained in seclusion in the blue bus. He fasted throughout those 10 hours and drank another cup of Ovaltine in the evening. Mehera and Mani were not called that day, and neither was Kaka during Baba's 10 hours alone. Monday, 1st August 1949, was a red-letter day in Meherazad. All the Meherabad Mandali, as well as other Meherabad residents, including Nagu, Sushila, Sarwar, Naju, and Hila Kotwal, who were on holiday from school, Little Goranat, and many from Abednagar, were to be present at Meherazad before 7 o'clock that morning. Those who were invited included Sarosh, his wife Vilu, Meherji Mama, and Homi Mama Sata, Savak Damania, Kawas, and Rusi Damania, and their mother Shirin, Ramju, Daki, Sunamasi, Rusi Pop, Datu, Rustam Kaka, and Sila Kaku, Adi Sr., Ulmai, and daughter Paroja, Bhagirat, Padoba, Goma Ganesh, Adi Jr., and his wife Frani. No one was to eat breakfast or take tea before arriving. All the men and the women had been observing silence for 1 month, and they were to break it in Baba's presence when he stepped out of seclusion. Sarosh was the only one who had been exempted from being on silence because of his political involvements and work. No one was to fold their hands or bow to Baba, utter any word, or even shout Jai. They were to break their silence after a prayer was read out by saying Amen. The men were to stay on the men Mandali side, and the women were to go to the women's quarters. Mehera and Mani saw Baba privately at 6:30 a.m. Mehera broke her silence and spoke with Baba. Mani was instructed to say only Baba. Baba stepped out of the cabin enclosure at precisely 7 a.m. and looked the very image of freshness, radiance, and health. It was as if, instead of having just undergone 40 days of seclusion and fasting, he had just returned from a holiday. Baba took his seat on the specially decorated dais. He addressed those present. Now prayers will be offered and everyone should be still. If anyone makes the slightest noise, a ghost will haunt him. After a few moments of silence, Don, Kalamama, Kakobad, and Kak Sahib read out the following prayer dictated earlier by Baba in English, Marathi, Gujarati, and Urdu. May God, whom the Muslims call Allah, whom the Zoroastrians call Ahura Mazda, whom the Hindus call Ishwar or Paramatma, and whom many call by many other names, may he whose union the lovers seek in self-annihilation, whom the seers see as the only reality, and whom the knowers know as their own real self. May the Supreme Conscious Being, this conscious soul of souls, who eternally manifests as the Avatar and perfect masters, may he, through his all-merciful act, bestow upon us his grace. All right, let's have another reader, please. Why don't you take it, Gene?
Okay. Oh, Rolf, are you available to read? Unmute first. You're still muted. There you go.
I can read for a while. Yes. If you'd like to go ahead, Gene, go and I'll follow you.
Okay. We're at page 2733. And may he solve our difficulties by the end of this year. And may he decide everything for us by the end of this year. And may he, according to Baba's 1949 circular, finish everything by the end of this year to enable Baba to break his silence in the beginning of the next year, to speak the one and the last word of all-embracing divinity. After the last translation had been read out, all cried, Amen. The following ghazal, dictated by Baba, was sung. People feel pleased to bathe in the waters of the holy Ganges, but the Ganges itself bathes in the blood of one who has spilt it in love. But the Ganges itself bathes in the blood of one who has spilt it in love. God always takes care of the one who resides in the city of love. Tell those who follow Shariat and read the Quran to renounce their own self before preaching to others. Let Maya commit suicide and let the world become its grave. Let this happen by the end of the year, and let all difficulties end, and only God remain. Let God Almighty and companion Baba allow this desire to be fulfilled. And at the beginning of the new year, he should manifest and break his silence. Baba distributed prasad of rawa to each one. Everyone returned to their homes by 9 that morning. After the recitations of the prayer that morning at Mirzad, the Mandali's dying embers of hope that Baba would break his silence were revived. None yet had the vaguest idea of the quote-unquote earthquake which was about to engulf them. Thus, Baba's great seclusion came to an end. It was truly great as it prepared the way for the next phase of Baba's mission, his new life. On one of his subsequent visits to Meherabad, Baba remarked, "The work I have done in Meherabad during this seclusion I have not done anywhere in the world." After the seclusion ended, Baba sent Norina and Elizabeth to America the next morning, 2 August, for his work. They went in Meherji's car with him and Nariman and Arnavaz. They were instructed to prepare.
August 2nd, 49.
They were instructed to prepare for Baba's arrival in Myrtle Beach in the near future. They left from Bombay 2 days later. Banjo, the dachshund, went with them. On Wednesday morning, 3 August 1949, Adi Sr., Sarosh and Ramju had interviews. Baba told them to ask what they wanted to then. as after the 20th, Baba would neither listen to any news or give any advice about their personal matters. In the afternoon, Baba told the Meherabad Mandali he had called Padri, Pendu, Nilu, Vishnu, Kalamama, and Dawn that he would be coming to Meherabad in 2 weeks to discuss and decide about their future. 5 days of meetings were to be scheduled at Meherabad. Baba further remarked, I want to be free from all ties in view of the coming disasters from all 4 sides, one of which is financial. And I seek your cooperation in this because it is the only one in which you can help. Since coming out of seclusion, Baba had frequently mentioned the vital decision he would be taking at the Meherabad meetings about the Mandali, their continued stay at Meherabad, their support and maintenance. To Adi Sr., he revealed, I will have to withdraw financial support to all and make them work independently, except for those who are solely dependent upon me, like you, Ramju, Savak Kotwal, and the Meherabad Hill women. Erich, Babadas, and Adi Jr. saw Baba at Meherzad on the 4th. It was Baba's habit, after any intensive work, to change his place of residence for a week or so. After completion of this seclusion, early on 5 August 1949, he left Meherzad for Satara with Mehera, Mani, Meheru, and Goher. Erich drove them in the Buick, and Adi followed in the Chevrolet with their luggage. Baba stopped on the way at Akbar Press to see Nusirwan Mama, who was ill. All had lunch at Bindra House in Pune, where Baba met Ghani, who was residing in Pune, Sadashiv Patil, Vital Bokre, Baram, Perrin, and other close ones. Baba was in an expansive mood, and in the course of conversation, he remarked about the current world political climate. This is Baba speaking. The peace movements are trying to prevent a world war. The pacts and alliances on both sides, America and Russia's, seek to balance the world powers. These are all activities to extinguish the possibility of war. But out of sheer desperation, just like a cat locked up in an enclosed room, the forces of war will gather themselves, attack civilization, strangle and destroy it. Rolf. Top of the page, Rolf. Page 2735.
I'm shaking so hard, I don't know if I can read.
Well, give it a shot.
Baba and the women's car departed for Satara at 3 p.m. and Jalbai.
Pardon me, Rolf. Can you get closer to the mic?
Oh, yeah. Final Must Work, Prelude to Thunder, 1949. Baba and the women's car departed for Satara at 3 p.m. and Jalbai accompanied them. They arrived in the evening and stayed at the Dak bungalow. After dropping off their luggage, Adi Sr. returned to Ahmednagar. As Age noted, inwardly, Baba's preparations for starting out on the new life had begun, but none had the least idea of it. From Satara, Baba wished to go to Panchgani. Dr. Alu Kambada had been in Baba's contact since 1935. She had invited Baba to bring the women to a guest house in a bungalow called Silver Oaks, which she intended to open as Baba had ordered her not to practice medicine. She was overjoyed when there's a footnote there. Anyone have access to that footnote? Silver Oaks is no longer standing, but it was located opposite Kimmins High School. Not to practice medicine. She was overjoyed when Arnavaz informed her about Baba's coming and immediately left for Panchgani to clean the house for Baba's use. Nargis Dadachanji and Dina Talati went with her to help, and preparations were speedily taken in hand. Baba had instructed Alu that when he came to Panchgani, she alone was to remain in the bungalow. Nargish and Dina were to return to Bombay upon completion of their work. Nargish had been with Baba in the ashram on Meherbad Hill, and Dina had been in his contact since the very early days. Although they longed to see Baba, to carry out his pleasure was their life's duty, and they did not wish to stay in Panchgani against his wish. On the 9th of August, as the three women were getting everything ready, Baba suddenly came to Panchgani to see the bungalow with the women Mandali. Hearing that Baba had come, Nargish and Dina quickly hid in the bathroom. Baba met Alu and then inquired, "Who is helping to clean up the place?" Alu told him, and he asked, "But where are they?" "They're hiding in the bathroom," she admitted. Baba had a good laugh, and calling Nargish and Dina stated, "I'm very pleased with you. Now, both of you start for Bombay this moment." When they were about to leave, he relented, conveying, "Stay on here, finish cleaning, and when we return tomorrow, have breakfast with us, and then leave. But finish up the cleaning soon." Then, looking at their expressions, Baba gestured, "Go on. Why are you staring at me? Didn't you hear what I said? Come on now and start the work. Don't go off and hide in the bathroom." Baba left for Satara, and Nargis and Dina cleaned the house from top to bottom. It was an old bungalow and had been uninhabited for many days. On 10th August, Baba came to Panchgani from Satara with the women Mandali, Erich, and Jalbai. Arnavas and Carmen Masi were also called from Bombay. For recreation, Alu had provided many games, but Baba asked, "Where is the ping pong table?" She had not thought of that, but promptly went out and borrowed one. Considering the happy mood Baba was in these days, no one dreamt of an earthquake, that an earthquake was coming. Baba was extremely happy in Panchgani. For 2 days he played games, had funny stories and jokes told to him, and took long walks and drives. The atmosphere was full of merriment and relaxation. It was like a holiday at last, but after only 2 days, on Friday afternoon, 12 August 49, Baba returned with everyone to Marazad, and as soon as he returned, war drums began sounding. Day and night, he began dictating to Erich instructions about the Mandali's future, preparing for the meetings to be held at Mehrabad in 3 days. Shall I pass the reading on to another reader? Have we, someone?
Eva or Mona, are you there?
I don't think Mona's reading today.
I can read. Where is it? Where did you leave off, Ralph?
Right at the top, at the very top.
Oh, okay, thank you. As Baba prepared to embark on what later became known as the new life, Age could not help but consider how much work Baba had done in the last 18 years, how incredibly active he had been. It seemed long ago when Baba boarded the Rajputana with Mahatma Gandhi to sail for England on his first journey to the West. Age recalled with warmth the expressions of pure bliss on each Western lover's face as they beheld the Lord incarnate on their shores. Their hearts welcomed him with tears of joy. How long the West had awaited him, and how he had responded to its call. Between September 1931 and 1938, Baba spent exactly 1/3 of his time abroad, because clearly he knew that war was a certainty and that there would be no opportunity of foreign travel during the ensuing years. He traveled through Europe more than a dozen times, visited England 8 times, and went to America thrice. He had journeyed to China, Egypt, Turkey, rekindling devotion, love, and surrenderance to him wherever he went. Memories flooded Age's vision: the Devonshire retreat, Meredith Star, the Harmon retreat, Pickfair in Hollywood, Lugano, the seclusion at Assisi, Portofino, Spain, the elusive film projects, Mount Falanflu, the Rahuri and Nasik ashrams, Khans. So much had happened during those years of Western travel. War had broken out in 1939, but Baba's pace, if anything, increased. When everyone else was withdrawing into the safety of their own homes and travel was restricted due to shortages of gasoline and other wartime restrictions imposed through rationing on foodstuffs, and so forth, Meher Baba was doing nothing but traveling. He traveled 7 times to Gujarat, twice to Ceylon, 3 times to Kashmir, 6 times to the Northwest frontiers, 12 times through the South, twice to Calcutta, more than 7,500 miles up and down the vast Indian countryside during those exhausting years, contacting more than 20,000 musts, sadhus, fakirs, and poor, and hardly staying in one place for more than a few weeks, more often only a few days. It is almost unbelievable, mused Age. Baba was no longer a young man either. In 1949, he was 55 years old. H pondered over all this and then thought about Baba's recent great seclusion. It was as if this was the link between the old and the new phase to come. It seemed to be so. What work, beloved Lord Meher has accomplished during his advent, thought Age. How much more does he have left to do? The new life. It is all a mystery and again a mystery, and very difficult for those who are with Bob and those away from him. William Duncan, Chapter 19, The New Life.
Oh, we got right down to the beginning.
And a picture of a very young looking Baba. And scroll down, please. Meher Baba had begun making hints about his new life before the beginning of 1949. He had issued a circular on 1 January stating, "The year 1949 marks an artificial end to an artificial beginning, and the real beginning to the real end." He had also warned his lovers that 1949 would be a year of tests and troubles for all, and of a great personal disaster for himself. From January 1949, Baba's hints became more pronounced, but no one could follow what he meant. These were some of his remarks. "I do not feel like caring for anything as to whatever remains and whatever goes. Tomorrow is to be cared for in 1949. I will finish once and for all the existing arrangements by December end, perhaps earlier at June end, maybe by March end. An immediate reduction of 50% must be made in all expenses right now. From July, you will begin to see and hear things for yourself. 90% of the Mandali will have to leave me, and only 10% will remain with me. In 1949, I have no trust left in and for anyone, including myself. All are pardoned by me, and God will also have to pardon me. But henceforth, no pardon is possible. You people have been with me for so many years, and I am therefore responsible for your continued weaknesses. But I do not want to take advantage of your weaknesses. I am therefore warning you not to succumb to these and avoid everything being washed away during 1949. Before proceeding to Mount Abu in February 1949, Baba had instructed everyone to avoid physical contact with the opposite sex. He had even ordered them not to shake hands. Baba had also decided about the matter of the disposal of Mandali's bodies according to their preference in the event of death. For Mount Abu, Baba had sent letters and telegrams to the Meherabad Mandali containing similar hints. One telegram, which Raju received, was, "The last 2 strenuous midsummer must trips done during Baba's illness have severely told upon his health. But this is not even the shadow of the 1949 personal disaster. Inform Mandali at Nagar, Meherabad, and on the hill. Baba's statements portended some great change about to take place in his work. The Mandali and his lovers were to soon find out what Baba meant." At the beginning of August 1949, Baba informed the Mandali that he would be coming to Meherabad from Meherazad to discuss and decide about the Mandali's future. 5 days of meetings were scheduled from 15 to 20 August. Arrangements were made in advance for the out-of-town lovers invited to the meetings to stay at Meherabad. They arrived on Sunday, 14 August 1949. The invitees included Minu Karas, Papa Jesawala, Gadekar Gani, Wasdeo Kine, Harjiwan, Lal, Dalut Singh, and a few other men. All were advised that no one should be absent during the days of the meetings. The Mandali were also to be present at the meetings. Baba repeatedly warned everyone, however busy you may be, do not fail to be present all the time. I will not be available afterwards. There will be no more chances like these. I will need no further work to be done by anyone. Take all that I say with the utmost seriousness. I mean all that I say these days. May God help all those who may take anything lightly or allow themselves to be misled by their own individual fads and fancies. Baba arrived at Meherabad on Monday morning, 15 August, for the first day of the meetings. He embraced Gustaji and Kaikobad and then entered the hall at 7:15 a.m. Throughout the proceedings, Baba conversed in Gujarati mostly through the alphabet board, which Adi Sr. would read. Ramju translated Baba's words into English, and Vishnu translated them into Marathi. Faram Working Boxwala wrote detailed notes in shorthand. Baba had instructed Faram to stick to me like a leech and try not to miss anything that I say to anyone during these days. The meeting commenced. Baba began by starting. Listen to what I am about to tell you and pay full attention to it. Whatever is going to be discussed here in the next 5 days and the discussions taken will be made known to all. Today we shall have a general discussion about the basis and the lines on which we have to start making the ultimate arrangements and adjustments. This will facilitate the final decision or decisions that have to be arrived at. There are 3 points that I have already decided upon most definitely about myself. What I want from you is to help me, to help all, to adjust themselves as best they can, to fall in line with my own decisions in one way or the other. The 3 points are, firstly, I will be absolutely helpless in the true and literal sense of the word on account of some personal disaster to me. Before that happens to me, after October 1, I wish to make whatever arrangements are possible for the Mandali under the limited means at our disposal, because thereafter I will have to stop, and I shall stop, seeing to the material matters of anyone. Secondly, I will allow only such persons to remain with and near me who are in every respect completely ready on their own responsibility to fulfill and carry out the conditions I may lay down during these few days for that purpose. I will be beyond the reach of all others. Thirdly, Meherabad and Pimpalgan ashrams will be disbanded as I am going to wipe these off my map. I thank God that the time for which I have been waiting so long has at last arrived. The whole world will know how and to what extent I became helpless, and I will come to know how far the Mandali will go with me. And that is the gist of all that we have to discuss and decide about. Usually, everyone was allowed to address Baba in the language most familiar to them. But this time, to make everything absolutely clear to all and not keep anything a secret, Baba resorted to the method of asking the individual to speak in a language intelligible to all. Thus, when Ali Akbar Aloba began to ask Baba something about his personal matters in Persian, Baba at once interrupted him, stating, "Tell me everything as best as you can in Hindi, because I want everyone, whether actually present here or not, to know what transpires during these days." Another time, Papa Jasawala tried to convey something confidentially in writing about his household affairs. Baba had the letter read before everyone, remarking, "Nothing is to be kept secret." If any man sought Baba's advice about outside matters, Baba would reply, "Dispose of all that you can dispose of. Provide whatever you can provide for your independence."
Depend.
I'm sorry. Oh, dependence. Provide whatever you can provide for your dependence. Arrange whatever you can arrange on these lines and wait and see for yourself what is finally decided in the meetings. Then decide for yourself whether you can or cannot remain with me in the future. There's absolutely no question of spiritual relations and spiritual benefits. No one will be left out spiritually if I am spiritually perfect myself. And next reader.
We may have had everybody who is reading today.
Do you want me to go
If
on
you
the
like.
page?
Yeah, go ahead, take another page,
Okay.
and then I'll pick up a page or two.
Okay. Throughout the meetings, Baba appeared as concerned about those who would not be going with him as he was about those who would be, and more particularly about those who were dependent on him materially. With the men at Lower Meherabad and the women at Upper Meherabad, the daily discussions went back and forth, weighing the cost and consequences involved for each of those going and those staying behind, and arranging for some form of maintenance for those dependent upon Baba. From the very first day of the meetings, Baba had taken a vigorous and decisive approach regarding the disposal of his movable and immovable properties, payment of promised amounts and provisions for dependent families, and those who would not be able to remain with him in the future. Now, how to adjust, Baba asked. I have no cash except for a certain amount kept aside for certain work. Everything that I own and possess, including the ashram buildings, fields, and houses, etc., both here at Ahmednagar, Arangan, and Pimpalgan, and elsewhere, and all furniture, fixtures, cars, generators, cattle, and other property. In fact, each and everything that belongs to me is to be disposed of. Nothing is to remain as my property and in my name except the piece of land on Meribah Hill, where the tomb for my bodily remains has already been built by me. And you all should always remember that when I leave my body, it has to be buried there. Baba then dictated this prayer, which Ghani offered. Oh God, may Baba not give up his body soon. Everyone said, Amen. And Baba continued to explain in detail. All the proceeds from the sale of all my properties are to be used in paying off promised sums and to provide for the immediate needs of those whom I myself have made dependent on me. Nothing is required for me and for those who go with me. Therefore, we have to see the best we can do for them. Those unable to come with me and those who are to be with me after October 15. Footnote. Although Baba stated that nothing is required for those who were to go with him, he subsequently revealed that he had kept aside 1,000 rupees for each of those who would be going with him in case they had to be sent back. I do not want anyone depending upon me to be suddenly left in the lurch materially. The question of spiritual benefits does not arise at all. That depends upon whether I am or I am not perfect. As it is, we have, so to say, 1 rupee in hand against 10 rupees to be spent in order to provide at least for the immediate and minimum requirements of all concerned.
All right, I think we have time for at least one more page here. Be absolutely honest in giving your opinions, answers, and suggestions. And keep sentiments apart. Don't be vague. Say exactly what you think and how you feel. You should not say, Baba, your will. Only a few of us are here to arrive at a decision that concerns many of us. The women Mandali also are going to be disbanded. Whatever we decide here is therefore going to be binding on the women and will affect everyone connected with me in one way or the other. I'm going to decide everything within these 10 days. Do not be misled by my apparently eccentric habits and customs up to now. For example, I have definitely decided to give up Merazide in October, and yet I have given instructions to Padre to have electric fittings done as soon as he can. This is due to my old habit of it's around.
Right at the top.
Okay. This is due to my old habit of maintaining the old order of things right up to the moment I actually start acting upon anything new. It may be madness, it may be method, but that has been my habit. Now I am also going to put an end to my habits and customs. So when I say the end, it means nothing but end. Do not remain under the impression that it will be otherwise. I want to be absolutely free from everything and everybody. There will be no compromise about anything now. I am becoming hardened, callous, and penniless. Remember the proverb, even God is afraid of the naked. A deadline of 15 October 1949 was fixed by Baba for the disposal of everything and the completion of all arrangements. These included the cancellation of Baba's last will, made in favor of the Mandali since 1940, as well as the cancellation of wills made in Baba's favor by the men mandali. Baba tore them up himself one by one, except for the wills of the Westerners, in the presence of the respective executants, each of whom was given back the torn pieces to be kept in remembrance of this day. The Meher Publications
Can
Partnership.
you guys hear Marvin okay?
I'm sorry, what?
Marvin, all of a sudden my volume just fell off, but it may be my signal.
Yeah, I can hear him.
Yeah.
Anyone else experiencing loss of volume?
Not me, Ralph. I could hear him okay.
Okay, forgive me. It's just me. Okay, Jay Baba.
Jay
Sorry.
Bob, okay. The Meher Publications Partnership was also dissolved, and the copyrights reverted to the authors concerned. On the first day of the meetings, several men had come whom Baba had sent away after a brief interview. One was a sadhu named Mani Bua, who had taken a vow of silence and spent his time wandering about on pilgrimages. He had met Baba in June 1948 at Mehrabad, having been brought by Bal Natu. On this occasion also, Baba asked Mani again, "Would you follow my orders?" "I am ready to obey you 100%, Mani wrote with chalk on his slate. Expressing his gratification, Baba dictated, "Then do this. Daily drink 2 bottles of wine, eat meat, and go to the movies. Will you do it?" Although Mani Bua had come to the Lord, he still attached importance to his own notions and fancies. His own ideas about spirituality were greater than God's. Baba's orders threw him into inner turmoil. He did not respond. Observing his reaction, Baba smiled and dictated, "All right, go about your pilgrimages and continue to beg for your food." And Baba gave the sadhu additional instructions, which accorded with Mani Bua's ascetic inclinations. Baba's words soothed Mani's panic. The sadhu was convinced that by leading the type of life he had been leading, he would gain the spiritual treasure. Baba's words seemingly reaffirmed his resolve. So Mani left with his fixed ideas. But Baba eventually shattered those ideas. Mani Bua could not understand the meaning of Meher Baba's words, as he was immersed in the performance of the rigid inclinations he held sacred. Baba would not let go of him so easily. He kept knocking at the core of Mani's deep-seated religious tendencies, and after several years, Mani eventually overcame them. As age observed, one's attachments, ideas, and inclinations are not overcome by eating meat or drinking wine or watching movies, but only by faithfully following the master's instructions. Had the sadhu gladly accepted Baba's first orders, Baba would have felt happy and changed the order on his own. This was a test for the sadhu, but firmly embedded notions cannot be overcome at once. On 13th August 1949, Gaya Prasad Kare was sitting deep in thought at his home in Rat, Uttar Pradesh. "How unfortunate I am that I have never had Meher Baba's darshan," he lamented. "As soon as I came to know about him from Babadas, darshan was stopped. Why the hell did Babadas tell me about him in the first place? If he had never mentioned him to me, I would not feel so restless." He wondered whether he should go to Pondicherry and seek Aurobindo's darshan instead. However, he subsequently learned that Aurobindo too had stopped giving darshan. What was he to do? I guess we'll go on a little bit because we're right in the middle of the story. As he was mulling all this over, Babadas appeared at his door. "Don't bother me," Kari lashed out. "You are the one who told me about Meher Baba and put me in this fix. When you can't arrange his darshan, what is the use in talking about him?" You want his darshan? Baba Das asked with a smile. I'll arrange it. Come along with me. How can you get darshan for me when you said yourself it has been stopped? Kari challenged. Don't worry about that. Just come with me. And so on 16 August, Baba Das arrived in Meherabad with Gaya Prasad Kari. Baba permitted Kari to come to his room and see him for a moment. Baba then instructed him to return to Rath. Kari did as he was ordered, but that one moment's darshan captured his heart forever. After half a minute, Baba gestured for me to leave, Kari recalled. I cannot explain my state after seeing Baba. I lay down by the side of the road and started weeping. In a similar manner, two other key men, Tari Singh Verma of Aligarh and Kishan Singh of Delhi, were also allowed a brief darshan and then sent away. These two individuals, along with Daulat Singh, were to prove important links in Meher Baba's work as events unfolded during the new life. Naraman and Meherji arrived on the night of the 16th. Sarosh, Naraman, and Meherji, being successful businessmen, had rendered much service to Baba in the past. We'll check that footnote. All right, we'll do it now. After returning to India from Iran in 1945, Meherji had become Naraman's business partner. They were deeply concerned about Baba's decisions to break up the ashrams and dispose of everything. On the third day of meetings, Wednesday, 17 August 49, Sarosh was the first to offer to undertake sole responsibility for maintaining indefinitely all the men and women now staying with Baba. Baba smiled, appreciating Sarosh's gesture, but explained to him, you have missed the whole point. Don't you see that the expected sale proceeds of all my properties are earmarked for those not coming with me? The question of the maintenance of those who will remain with me after 15 October is neither provided for nor is to be provided for. I and those coming with me are to suffer. We are going to start without any protection, and we will have to go a-begging. Naraman and Meherji expressed their desire to take over Meherabad and Meherzad, the lands, buildings, etc. of each ashram, because of the sanctity of and their sentiments for these two sacred places. When Baba agreed and explained to them not to hesitate to resell the properties if and when they received good offers, Naraman replied, if it were the question of selling them, we would not have involved ourselves. So maybe we should stop now because it doesn't seem to be an ending to this story.
I'll make a note of page 2745 and
Okay, hit the stop record.